This video is part of a series that covers all the new features, evolutions, and fixes introduced in the successive service packs following the release of Automic Automation version 21. In this video, we describe those features for the service pack number shown in red. Some of the items listed are important changes that warrant further exploration. They may require user behavior changes, or they might represent some of the more arcane aspects of the technology, and so they're listed in red in the overview. As such, they'll have dedicated slides. Others are minor, and we list them for awareness. They will be listed in black and will not have dedicated content. All items are grouped together by components: Automic Automation, Kubernetes Edition, AWI, agents, and so forth. The following are the new features and improvements included in Service Pack 2109. First, we've made what is admittedly a correction from a change that was added to Service Pack 8, and which led to a number of undesirable behaviors. The UC system settings variable contains a value called SMGR lookup, which was set to yes by default in SP8. We've set it back to no in SP9. We'll spend a bit of time to explain what happened and how this came to be a problem we needed to address. Automic ships with an embedded PostgreSQL database as part of the external resources. The one installer uses this DB for automated installs. That version of Postgres is now 15.5. In AWI, adjustments have been made to the ForEach workflow and its behavior in the process monitoring perspective for added clarity and monitoring. The old RA FTP agent has been retired in favor of a new agent that works differently and we hope better. Finally, the embedded Unix libraries necessary to the Unix components, like the agents and AWI, have been pulled out of each component and moved to the external resources directory in the install package. Those libraries will need to be copied to each individual component when it's installed. When Automic evolved from SP7 to SP8, one seemingly trivial adjustment occurred. We set the default value of SMGR lookup in UC system settings to yes. This change was unfortunately undocumented. In SP9, we reverted back to no, and this is definitely well documented. Service Manager settings in UC system settings set certain behaviors in relation to the Service Manager. SMGR port range sets the range of ports on which the SM would be listening. Lookup, set to yes, forces the scanning of these ports by the JCP. If the connection to one particular port fails, then it moves on to the next in the range, and the next, and so forth. There's latency built into the system, which means the JCP could be held up by the aggregated latency of the process, preventing agents from connecting, and jobs being held with a variety of statuses, start initiated being the most common one. AWI, too, may not have responded well to this problem. This needed to be addressed. In Service Pack 9, the value has been set back to no by default. We've made changes to the display behavior of ForEach workflows in AWI. This is a standard workflow which loops X number of times, the X value being set in a variable or an array. If the variable states 5, then the workflow runs 5 times. We won't explain ForEach workflows, they've been featured in Automic for more than a decade. However, until now, users experienced challenges in monitoring these workflows. They couldn't really tell which iteration in the loop they were currently looking at in the monitoring perspective. This has been addressed with Service Pack 9. When the ForEach workflow contains embedded workflows, the new iterations of these embedded workflows associated with a new loop are displayed collapsed, while the previous iterations, those that have completed, will be expanded. You'll then have to expand these new iterations to see the status of the tasks inside of those embedded workflows, and they're given new run IDs. We have retired the old Rapid Automation FTP Agent in favor of a new self-contained one. The old one is still supported and it'll be able to connect to AE, but this is not what ships in the install package. This new agent is deployed like any regular agent. It doesn't require any sort of DB load operation or changes to the database, nor does it need to be added to client 0, as was the case in the past. Both of these aspects should hopefully make the deployment of the agent faster and easier. If you have an existing INI file, it can still be used with a new agent. Up to this point, the standard Unix libraries libstdc++ and libgcc_s, which are necessary for some of the components to work on Unix, were added directly to their respective install packages. This applied to the Service Manager, the agent, and the utilities, for example. Obviously, this is only true for Unix platforms. For reasons of compatibility and maintainability, These libraries have been removed from the individual components and are instead delivered in the external .resources directory in a subdirectory called Unix_libraries with a file called Unix libraries targz. When you install a new component on Unix, say the Service Manager, you'll need to copy those libraries to the component's bin directory.